The Man in the Attic by Edwin Aberoth. Chapter 1, The Missing Pieces. Sam had always been a creature of habit. Keys on the hook by the door, wallet in the bowl on the kitchen counter, phone charging on the nightstand. Routine kept life simple, predictable. Which is why when things started disappearing, Sam assumed it was just forgetfulness. At first, it was small things, a spoon left out, a book set aside, but later found in a different room. Annoying, but nothing unusual. Then it escalated. Keys were missing from the hook, only to reappear in the fridge. The TV remote vanished entirely for 3 days before turning up under the bathroom sink. A half-eaten sandwich from the night before was gone, the plate wiped clean, though Sam had no recollection of touching it. "Are you messing with me?" Sam asked one morning, rubbing tired eyes as they glared at their roommate Elliot. Elliot, midway through pouring cereal, frowned. "Messing with you how?" "My stuff keeps moving. Things disappear, then show up somewhere weird." Elliot scoffed. "You always misplace things. Maybe you're just, don't say forgetful. I know where I leave my stuff." Elliot held up his hands. All right, but it's not me. I barely touch your things." That should have been reassuring, but it wasn't. If Elliot wasn't responsible, then what was happening? Sam wasn't sleepwalking. They weren't losing time. But the pattern continued. One night as Sam lay in bed half asleep, they swore they heard soft footsteps moving down the hallway, too light to be Elliot's. When they got up to check, the apartment was silent, untouched. Maybe stress was getting to them. Still, they couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was in their home. Chapter 2, The Unseen Hand. The next day, Sam bought a CCTV camera, a small motion-activated model that connected to their phone. It wasn't paranoia, they told themselves, it was proof. Something was happening in their home, and they needed to know what. "Cameras?" Elliot asked, watching as Sam positioned the device in the living room. "Isn't that a bit much? You said it yourself, it's not you. And it's not me. So what the hell is going on?" Elliot rubbed his arms, uneasy. "Maybe we've got a rat problem." "Rats don't move keys or eat sandwiches," Sam muttered, angling the camera toward the kitchen. They installed another one in the hallway, making sure every major area was covered. That night, Sam lay in bed with their phone in hand, watching the camera feed. Nothing. Just the stillness of their dimly lit apartment. They set the phone aside, exhaustion taking over. Then, a noise. A shuffle. The faintest sound of something brushing against the floor. Sam's eyes snapped open. 3:12 a.m. The house was silent. Heart hammering, they reached for their phone and checked the footage. Corrupted file. A pit formed in Sam's stomach. They tried again. The recording had been wiped. The next morning, they showed Elliot. It deleted itself? Elliot frowned. "That's weird." "Weird?" Sam snapped. "That's impossible. It recorded fine all day, but at night?" "Gone." Elliot hesitated. "Okay." I exhaled sharply. "I wasn't going to say anything, but last night I heard something." Sam froze. "What?" "A noise. In the kitchen. I thought it was you, but when I checked, no one was there." Sam's throat went dry. Something was in their home, and it didn't want to be seen. Chapter 3, The Friendly Neighbor. Sam wasn't taking chances. If something or someone was in their home, they needed real proof. That afternoon, while Elliot was out, Sam bought a second hidden camera, one even smaller than the first. They tucked it carefully behind a stack of books on the living room shelf, angled perfectly toward the hallway and kitchen. The original cameras stayed in place, broadcasting a live feed to Sam's phone. But now, if the footage got deleted again, this hidden camera might catch whoever was doing it. Elliot returned home looking on edge. His usual sarcastic attitude had dimmed, and he flinched when Sam spoke. "You okay?" Sam asked. Elliot nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just didn't sleep great." A lie. Sam could see it in his hands, trembling, fidgeting. "You heard something else, didn't you?" Elliot swallowed. "Not heard, but He let out a nervous breath. "I woke up around 4. My door was open." Sam stiffened. "You leave it open?" "No." Elliot looked up, and my closet was open too. For the first time, Sam saw real fear in Elliot's face. That night, neither of them spoke much. They stayed in their rooms, doors locked. Sam set their phone on the nightstand, watching the live feed through half-lidded eyes. Nothing moved. The apartment was still. Then 3:10 a.m., a flicker, a shape small, barely perceptible, moved at the edge of the frame. Sam sat up fast, staring at the screen. The motion was so slight that if they had blinked, they would have missed it. Then the feed cut to black. Camera disconnected. Sam's pulse thundered. Their eyes darted to the bookshelf where the hidden camera was placed. If the main feed was erased, maybe the backup had caught something. Swallowing their fear, Sam grabbed the backup camera and opened the footage. The file was still there. Hands shaking, they hit play. For a long moment, the living room sat empty, silent. Then at exactly 3:12 a.m., the attic hatch in the ceiling slid open, and a pair of thin, pale hands emerged. Something was climbing down. Chapter 4, The Ghosts of the Past. Sam's breath came in short, sharp gasps as they stared at the screen. The hands, the attic hatch. There was someone in the apartment. They bolted from the bed, flinging open Elliot's door without knocking. "Elliot, wake up!" Elliot shot up, eyes wild. "What? What's going on?" "The attic." Sam hissed. Something came out of it last night. Elliot's face drained of color. "You're joking." Sam shoved the hidden camera in his hands and hit play. They both watched as the footage showed those thin, pale hands emerging, gripping the attic's edge. Something long and bony slowly slithered downward, but the video ended before they could see more. "We need to check the attic," Sam said, voice tight. Elliot, still staring at the screen, swallowed hard. "Now?" "Yes, now." Neither of them wanted to, but waiting wasn't an option. If someone had been inside their home, they needed to know who or what. Arming themselves with a kitchen knife and a heavy flashlight, they dragged a chair beneath the attic hatch. Sam climbed up, heart hammering, and reached for the panel. It slid open effortlessly. A wave of dust and stale air spilled into the hallway. Sam's flashlight pierced the darkness, empty, or so it seemed. Cobwebs draped over wooden beams. A few old storage boxes sat in the corners, but no one was there. No sign of life. But the dust, Sam noticed it had been disturbed, like something had moved through it. Elliot exhaled a shaky breath. "There's nothing. Maybe they left?" Sam wasn't convinced. Or maybe they're just hiding better. Later that morning, Sam made a decision. If someone was crawling through their attic, their neighbor, Mr. Hargreaves, deserved to know. Hargreaves had lived next door for years. He was a quiet man in his 60s, always friendly but reserved. He had been in the building long before Sam and Elliot moved in. Sam knocked on his door. A moment later, Hargreaves appeared, dressed in his usual cardigan, a steaming cup of tea in hand. "Ah, Sam. Good morning." His voice was calm, even pleasant. Sam cut to the chase. "Something's wrong in our apartment." Hargreaves raised an eyebrow. "Oh? Strange things keep happening. Missing objects, noises at night, and last night," Sam hesitated. "We caught someone coming down from the attic." Hargreaves' expression didn't change. If anything, it became too still. "The attic, you say?" Sam nodded. "Have you ever heard of anything like this happening before?" A beat of silence. Then Hargreaves smiled faintly. "I wouldn't worry too much," he said, taking a slow sip of tea. "Old buildings make old noises." Sam's stomach twisted. He knew a deflection when he heard one. Hargreaves knew something, but he wasn't saying. Chapter 5. Something Watches. Sam didn't drop it. Mr. Hargreaves had answered too quickly, too smoothly, and that faint smile, it wasn't the reaction of a man who just heard that his neighbors had a possible intruder in their attic. Sam took a step forward, folding their arms. "You say that like it's normal." Hargreaves shrugged. "People hear things all the time in old buildings. Yeah, but not people climbing out of the attic." For a fraction of a second, Hargreaves' grip on his teacup tightened. A subtle movement, but Sam caught it. "You've lived here for a long time," Sam continued. "Have you ever heard about anything strange happening in our unit before?" A pause. Then Hargreaves sighed. "Look," he said, his voice quieter now, almost regretful. "You're a good tenant. I'd hate to see you scare yourself over nothing." "Nothing?" Sam echoed, pulse quickening. "Some things are better left alone." And with that, he closed the door. Back in the apartment, Elliot was unraveling. He sat at the kitchen table, eyes darting to the ceiling like he expected something to burst through it at any second. A cup of untouched coffee sat in front of him, gone cold. "We need to leave," he said suddenly. Sam frowned. "What? This place isn't safe." Elliot's leg bounced anxiously. "Someone has been in here." "In here, Sam? Moving around, watching us. You saw the hands." What if they're still up there? We checked the attic." "Yeah? And did you check the walls?" Elliot's voice was rising. "The vents, the crawl space? What if this person has been living here for months? Years? What if they come down while we're sleeping and stop?" Sam grabbed his wrist. "I know this is bad, but freaking out won't help." Elliot's chest rose and fell in sharp, uneven breaths. He wasn't coping well, and Sam couldn't blame him. Because, truthfully, they were starting to wonder if Elliot was right. That night, Sam did their own research. They searched for past residents of the apartment, old property records, anything. Most of it led nowhere until they found something in a news archive. A missing persons report. 5 years ago, a man named Victor Lane. He had lived in this very apartment, and he had vanished without a trace. Chapter 6. Digging up dirt. Sam's heart pounded as they stared at the old missing persons report. Victor Lane. 5 years ago. Same apartment. It wasn't a coincidence. It couldn't be. Elliot was barely holding it together. If Sam told him now, he might spiral. No, this needed more proof, more details. What happened to Victor Lane? Why did he vanish? Sam decided to dig deeper. The next morning, while Elliot barely left his room, Sam went straight to the public records office. The place was small, tucked inside a dull government building, the kind of place no one went unless they had to. They scanned the archives, looking for Victor Lane, and then they found it, a police report. Date November 17th, 2019. Incident type, missing person name Victor Lane. Last seen, apartment 4C Oakwood Complex. Report summary. Victor Lane was reported missing by his employer after failing to show up for work multiple days in a row. Police found no signs of forced entry or struggle inside the apartment. No personal belongings were missing. Food remained in the fridge, phone, wallet, keys, all untouched. The only unusual detail noted, the attic hatch was found slightly ajar. Sam stopped breathing. The attic, of course. They flipped through additional reports hoping for more, but the case had gone cold. No body, no leads, no signs of where Victor Lane went. Like he had simply vanished. Back at the apartment, Elliot was worse. He sat on the couch, arms wrapped around himself, eyes bloodshot. "I don't think we're alone," he muttered. Sam tensed. "What do you mean? I was in my room earlier." His voice was barely above a whisper. "I heard breathing. Right outside my door." A chill crawled up Sam's spine. Elliot's fingers dug into his arms. "I swear I heard it. And when I opened the door, no one was there." Sam couldn't take it anymore. They had to find out what or who was living in their home. And there was only one place left to check. The attic. Chapter 7, The Attics. Secret Sam didn't rush this time. Elliot was on the verge of a complete breakdown, and if Sam pushed too hard, it could make things worse. So they waited, let him breathe, gave him space, but that didn't mean they weren't preparing. In the meantime, Sam grabbed something from the hallway closet, a golf club, heavy, solid. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. When Elliot finally started to calm down, Sam sat beside him on the couch. "I need to check the attic," Sam said, voice steady. Elliot tensed immediately. "Sam, I need to. I found something." Elliot frowned, rubbing his temples. "What?" Sam hesitated. Then they lied. Just some old complaints from past tenants, weird noises, people thinking someone was up there. Maybe it's a raccoon. Maybe it's nothing, but I have to know. Elliot's jaw tightened. "Then I'm coming with you." "No," Sam said quickly. "You're not in the right headspace for this. Just be here. If I don't come down in 5 minutes, call the police." Elliot didn't like it, but he nodded. The attic hatch loomed above. Sam took a steadying breath, golf club gripped tight, and climbed onto the chair. They reached up and pulled the hatch open. Silence. The darkness above seemed to breathe. Sam hoisted themselves up, flashlight slicing through the dust-heavy air. Something moved, a faint rustling just beyond the flashlight's reach. Sam's pulse hammered. They scanned the space, wooden beams, storage boxes, insulation peeling in the corners. Then, in the farthest part of the attic, they saw it. A makeshift bed, blankets piled on a flattened mattress, empty water bottles, food wrappers, and beside it, a notebook. Sam moved cautiously, flipping it open, scrawled across the first page in frantic, messy handwriting. "He watches." Sam turned the page. "I hear him moving at night. He doesn't know I know." Another page. "He comes down when I sleep." Sam's hands shook. This wasn't just someone hiding up here. Someone had lived here before them, someone who had known. And if Victor Lane had vanished without a trace, a noise, a footstep. Sam's breath hitched. They weren't alone. Chapter 8, The Final Confrontation. Sam's knuckles whitened around the golf club. The air in the attic felt thick, too thick. The kind of stillness that came before something terrible. Another step. Soft, deliberate. Something was here, watching. Sam turned the flashlight toward the noise, heart slamming against their ribs. The beam swept across rotting insulation, wooden beams, and then landed on him. A man. Thin. gaunt. His skin was pale, stretched too tightly over his bones like he hadn't seen sunlight in years. His hair hung in uneven clumps, eyes wide and hollow. But the worst part? He smiled. Not in a way that people smile, in a way that something wrong smiles. You see me? His voice was barely a whisper, raspy from disuse. No one ever sees me. Sam's entire body locked. This was it. This was who had been living above them, the attic man. Sam gripped the golf club, ready to swing, when suddenly a loud thud came from below. Sam, Elliot's voice panicked. The attic man's head snapped to the hatch. The moment his attention shifted, Sam moved. They swung the golf club. It slammed into his side, sending him staggering backward with an inhuman screech. The hatch burst open. Sam! Elliot was climbing up, face pale with terror. Sam scrambled toward him. Go! Get out! But it was too late. The attic man lunged. Sam barely dodged, twisting as a hand, long skeletal fingers clawed at their leg. The grip was cold, unnaturally strong. Elliot grabbed Sam's arm and yanked them down. They fell through the hatch. Both of them hit the floor hard, scrambling backward as something moved above. Then, the attic hatch slammed shut. A second later, a loud scraping sound. Like something was dragging across the hatch, locking it from the inside. Silence. Both of them lay there, gasping, staring up. Then Elliot whispered, voice trembling, "Has still up there." Chapter 9. The man in the attic. Sam and Elliot sat frozen on the floor, gasping for breath, staring up at the attic hatch. The dragging sound had stopped. The apartment was silent. Too silent. Then a soft tap, a single tap against the wood. From the other side. That was enough. Sam grabbed Elliot's arm. "We're calling the police. Now." Elliot didn't argue. His hands shook as he fumbled with his phone, dialing 911. The operator's voice came through. 911, what's your emergency? Sam forced their voice steady. There's a man in our attic. He's been living there, hiding there. We need help. The operator asked for their address, dispatching units immediately. It felt like an eternity. The two of them didn't move, didn't breathe. Somewhere above them, he was still there, waiting. The police arrived in minutes. A team of officers swept into the apartment, guns drawn. One of them, a woman with sharp eyes, turned to Sam. "You're sure someone's in there?" Sam nodded stiffly. "We saw him." The officer gestured to her team. "All right, let's see if our guy's still home." Two officers positioned themselves at the attic hatch. One of them reached up, gripping the handle. He gave a sharp yank. It didn't budge. A second pull. The hatch creaked open. Silence. Then a rush of movement. Something darted across the attic. The officers reacted instantly. Flashlights cut through the darkness. A shuffling noise, then a loud bang. "Hands! Let me see your hands!" one of the officers shouted. Another bang, a thud, then nothing. The silence stretched. Sam felt their pulse hammering as they waited. Finally, the officer called down. "We got him." Sam and Elliot collapsed against the wall. Relief. Pure, shaking relief. The aftermath. His name was Daniel Weiss, a former tenant. The police found evidence of him living in the attic for years. He had carved out a hidden space, a small tunnel leading from the attic to the walls. He had been watching them. For how long? They didn't know. And Victor Lane? The police suspected Weiss had something to do with his disappearance. But there was no proof, no body, no remains, just another unsolved case. Sam and Elliot left the apartment that same night. They weren't staying there. Not another second. One last thing. The next morning, as they gathered their things, Sam caught sight of Mr. Hargreaves watching them from his doorway. Expressionless, cold. He gave them a small, knowing smile. Sam didn't say a word, because deep down they knew Hargreaves had known all along, and he had let it happen. The end. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this story. We have many stories across all genres. Please subscribe and activate the bell to be informed each time we publish.